Hello, it's me, the Queen of Halloween, and I am here to wish you a fabulous All Hallows Eve. I hope you all have had a fantastic spooky season and are so ready to celebrate Halloween tonight. I know I am. And I may have one more treat in store. Since this is sort of my 1 year horrorversary as the House of Love Queen of Halloween, I thought I would pay tribute to one of my icons, the true Queen of Halloween, the Mistress of the Dark, Elvira. Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, has a career that I aspire to have and is such the right culmination of horror and camp and sexy and stupid and smart and all of the things that I aspire to be with my drag. So I thought, what better way to honor Halloween than to get into some classic Elvira drag. So to get this process started, let me go ahead and shave my face, block my brows, and slip into something a little more low-cut and revealing. We are bald and bootiful. Actually, we're very much looking like Uncle Fester right now. Not the Halloween character I was going for. Maybe another time. Our brows are blocked, our beard is covered, our skin is prepped, we are ready to get into the makeup. But before we do, I have a few tricks and treats that I want to cover with you. As your HalloQueen, this is your reminder that you too can enjoy House of Love cocktails and mocktails. Make sure you visit their website and place your order if you are not in one of the locations where there is a retailer. I love the new mocktail. How do we get the home bar to stock House of Love? The next little treat I've got is that today's makeup look is going to be done using products from Elvira's makeup collection. Ooh. So inside, we've got a liner, a blush, an eyeshadow palette, a lipstick, and a lip gloss. And I'm not really much of a lipstick, lip gloss kind of gal because there's a lot of real estate going on, but we will certainly be making use of some of those other products. And I will let you know my thoughts on the official Elvira collection. And lastly, this might be a trick for me, a treat for you, we will see. But you had asked me some questions that were burning into your mind like a jack-o'-lantern about Halloween, costume stories, histories, etc. And so while we are doing each step of the makeup, I'm going to be answering some of your Halloween questions. So crack open a House of Love beverage and let's get into the first question. All right, the first question is kind of a big one. What inspired your love for Halloween? Well, my family is not necessarily an ooky spooky family. Like, I didn't grow up watching horror movies. So all of that part of Halloween was really foreign to me and something that I developed a love for later on. But my family is very festive. So my mom and my dad are both very creative and artistic people, even if they are not like actively expressing their art. But the holidays is one of the times where they get to do that. So we always were having a beautifully decorated house. My mom could sew, so we were making costumes and we had family dress up. And I think one of the things about Halloween that continues to make me fall in love with it is that like nostalgia. I think that's true for a lot of us. Is it just harkens back to a time of childhood and mystery and magic and horror. And as an adult, we like yearn to keep those things alive. And the secret is you can. So that was probably the first like activation of my love for Halloween, was just being able to celebrate it as a family. We usually had some sort of like Halloween playlist. There were these cute decorations that my mom and sister and I would craft together. My dad would get really into dress up and like they even had like haunted houses in our garage a couple of times. The childhood, the nostalgia, the magic. As I got older, some of the parts of Halloween that were like scary and spooky became also very fun because it was safe. Like it was, as a kid, you could trick or treat in the dark, kind of run ahead, get scared with your friends and laugh. And it taught me that there is fun in fear when it's safe, when there's like an element of pretend. And so that part of Halloween really, I think, started to come to fruition when I was getting into like middle school and junior high, and I could start to explore horror. And then like the existential answer in me is that like horror is intrinsically very queer. It's about the other and the outsider. And so there was a part of me that resonated with horror and things that were scary. And so that part I didn't necessarily understand fully until I was older, where I could say, there's a reason why these pieces all connect. But I think ultimately so many people connect with Halloween because It is just a chance to explore other parts of yourself. There's a transformation, there's a play, there's safety to be weird and scary or whimsical and magical or silly. And as kids, you get to live in a world of play all the time. But as adults, we don't really get to do that. And so I think Halloween, the people who like really love tapping into that magic and mystery and fantasy are keeping that part of their youth alive. Not in like a sad way. At least that's not how I think about it. In real time, you all got to watch my like just draw two brown worms on your face approach to brows. And normally I like expedite past that because it's a little scary. But this is Halloween, so we're all about being scared. The next question is sort of related to the first, and it was, what are some of your earliest Halloween costumes? Love this question. Love pink. Wow, talking and doing brows, not for the faint of heart. I have some early memories, and by early memories, I mean there's pictures, so the memories are implanted, of me being a pumpkin at like maybe a couple months old, and Batman. But when I was a little bit older and my sister was born, we used to do a lot of family costumes, and my mom used to sew our Halloween outfits a lot of the time. I remember we did Wizard of Oz as a family, and that was really fun. I also remember I was a mummy a handful of times. I loved Egyptian mythology designs. And ultimately, the costume that got repeated the most was I was a Power Ranger. I was a Power Ranger a lot throughout childhood. Different Power Rangers. I wasn't an outfit repeater, but I was a Power Ranger a lot. One of maybe the most unusual costumes that I dressed up as was Captain Underpants, which I'm kind of giving Captain Underpants right now. But I lived in Minnesota as a kid, and so we would trick or treat, and sometimes it would be very cold. It was beautiful in the fall in Minnesota, but sometimes it would be kind of chilly. So you'd have to wear your costume over a winter coat or some sort of like thermal leggings or something, which is always a bummer. But dressing up as Captain Underpants as a kid was already a choice. And so the way my mom assisted in making that possible was I had my skin tone colored thermal like leggings and shirt, so like thermal winter underwear, and then obviously the underwear, and then I had a nylon stocking cap on and the cape. But I think I had to be like layered up under the nude illusion bodysuit. Anyways, it was weird, and in talking about it now, it's a little weird. But you know what? Everybody knew who I was. The one time that I need to focus on these brows, but the one time that people got me confused and I was so frustrated was I dressed up like Link from The Legend of Zelda. And my sister went as Tinkerbell, and everybody kept thinking that I was Peter Pan, and that was really annoying to me. Granted, my sister and I did do like a joint costume every now and then, and one of the funniest ones was when she went as Scooby and I went as Shaggy. And that's still pretty iconic. All right, one brow is pretty much carved out, kind of, sort of. Let me go ahead and do this one, and then I'll be right back to show you some clean brows and get into another Halloween question. Brows are clean, eyes are primed, and I'm ready to get into this eyeshadow. Inspecting the Elvira palette, we've got this 6-pan eyeshadow palette. This is licensed, and the Elvira face chart aligns these colors to where you should place them. I think we've got a pretty good idea of how to handle these. It also comes with a blush. This is sort of a like cool toned mauve-y pink blush, so not quite like a fluoro fuchsia color. All of these colors are on brand. I'm interested to see how pigmented they are and if we have to like supplement or saturate with some of our other palettes. So let's find out. I'm going to start by placing Death by Fuchsia in this crease area, and then layering that up with Poison to really deepen it. All right, having a little bit of trouble blending and getting the saturation that I want. The saturation at first seems really nice on these, but then it gets a little bit chalky and a little hard to blend. So I'm going to dip into some other palettes, but we'll see. It could be some of the purples, maybe the blues and the pinks are a little bit better. Dipping into the tried and true Prados Beauty Palette, you know this purple. We love it. We use it all the time. We were just talking about costumes and some of the things I used to dress up as a kid, and somebody asked, how do you costume on a budget? And I love this question. Number one is going to be thrift. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Figure out what you've already got in your closet, in your costume bin, and see how you can rearrange it into something new. Sometimes that's also a great opportunity to pull something out of your closet that maybe you wouldn't normally wear or you haven't worn in a while, and give it a zhuzh. Maybe you cut it short, maybe you rhinestone it. Oh, that's putting the drag into it. Throw some blood on it. But if it's not something you already have in your closet, my recommendation is to start at the thrift store. I can't tell you the number of times when we would have parties in college that were very specific themes that I would spend just an hour or two hunting through a Goodwill, and I would find all the pieces and parts I would need to make something spectacular. So if you're looking to craft a costume on a budget, don't put so much pressure on it needing to look a very specific certain way, because then you're going to take all the fun out of it. However, if you are looking for something that's maybe a little bit more expensive or has a certain look about it, but you don't think you're going to wear it more than once, my advice to you is do a buy and return. Certain online vendors have rather liberal return policies and may or may not inspect the quality of such items. And while fast fashion is an enemy, so consuming more fashion and production of that is not necessarily my favorite thing to recommend. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism, so your money is better spent other places. And so if it makes sense for you to consume a certain amount of product or costuming for a very narrow period of time, and then send it back and get your money back, that's a rental. Definitely better for your pocketbook. So Sierra Myst's guide to balling on a budget when it comes to Halloween: reduce, reuse, recycle. Thrift, use what you have, pull from the costume closet, and turn it into something new. Give it a remix. And if that is not an option, or you have maybe more expensive tastes but don't want to see that money disappear into the ether, rent and return. With that, let's go ahead and get this crease done on this eye. So much better. This next part of Elvira's makeup is very 80s, but you don't really see it because of her bangs. But her eye makeup basically goes over her brows and it sort of bleeds up into her forehead. And so it goes pink, blue, pink, and then it has a kind of culminates in this purple crease. So I'm going to do that. Admittedly, I'm a little nervous about using what this came with. So sorry to Supernatural Blue and Hex Blue. I may check out Hex Blue. Supernatural Blue is giving a little too gray navy for me, and I think I've got a better gray navy in the Trixie Cosmetics palette. But I'm going to dip into some other shades, and I'm going to figure out sort of along the way the right culmination of blue first. But while we do that, I've got another question that I can answer. So somebody asked, what do I think of Courtney Cox's bangs in Scream 3? And this is a shady question for you to come into my DMs with the Scream slander, hateful. I think we all can agree that in every movie, Gale Weathers, the character played by Courtney Cox, it has some questionable hair choices, particularly in the first ones. I love her hair in the very first Scream because it's so quintessentially 90s. It is 90s news person down, and that's perfect. Everything after that is wild. I think her hair color in Scream 2 is actually kind of fierce. I think coming back around, nice streaks. But Scream 3 with the little chunky, honestly, with doing Elvira, it kind of is like that, but hers stop here. They are way up top instead of, yeah. The bangs. The bangs really foil the whole thing. If they were a little longer, it could have saved it. Also, I don't know. Why did they do that to her? Why did they do that to her? That was rotten. Okay, let me figure this out for a little bit. Okay, mistakes were made. I'm understanding how I should have approached this, because even though Elvira's makeup is drag, she is using her natural eyebrows and I am not. And painting over the brows, I feel like there was an order that I maybe misunderstood. I feel like brows probably are last in that order. So the next thing I need to do is basically do the same thing again. I'll do it with pinks this time. So I'll kind of go from purple to pink on the front and the back end of the brow. And then I will have to draw the brow back over this. What I'm a little nerviosa about, like, we're giving Elvira, so like I'm here for the ride, is like when I put the brow back on, am I going to lose brow bone highlight because I'm drawn my brow on? I don't know. Figuring out the geometry and her makeup on my face in drag, interesting challenge, but I will explore. So I fear that that may have been like a fatal misunderstanding in how to approach this Elvira makeup. And on paper, I didn't think that it would matter that much. So, what I've learned is that I should not have drawn the brow first. I should blend and then draw the brow and like carve under it, because it's getting a little fuzzy over here. And I think there's potential to save this one, but it is going to take some manual under construction labor. So I am going to do that off camera because this was it's a situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to fix this upper eye area. I'm going to go ahead and draw on some eyeliner, and then I'll get into some of the Elvira details with the liner with you all. But I need to get this eyeshadow situation figured out first before I can go to sleep tonight. So I'll be right back. Girl, so anyways, this was advanced dragonometry. If I could go back in time and tell myself how this should be done, do the eye makeup first, just the shadows, then draw the brows, then carve it out. This was a lot more back and forth than what I originally anticipated. Oh, what is in my eye? Cassandra really said, "Oh, you trying to come for my gig?" Well, Elvira has some signature eyeliner going on where she has these like fake lashes drawn on, and then she's got a connected inner corner, which I don't normally do, but we're gonna do today for her. The drawn on lashes, I don't know how well they're really gonna show up on my eye shape, especially once we put the lash on, but we're gonna put them there in honor of her. So how I might approach this would be the same way I would approach the placement of my eyeliner, where I have my eyes open and I'm going to mark kind of where I want that score to go. And I might go above the crease a little bit just for like, shits and giggles. Okay, so I would go here. I would go here. Here. Here, like that. And then eye keeps creasing in a different way each time. Like, how are we supposed to figure this out? Right, yeah, okay. Okay, let's go ahead and do the inner corner, and then I'll do a little hint of my lower lashes, because I usually add those on towards the end. And then I'll do it on the other side. I'm on the struggle bus. Okay, in the monitor that looks good. In the mirror, I don't know, but in the monitor, what do you think? Yeah, it's one of those where maybe a lash needs to go on. Well, let me go ahead and try my best to repeat this on this eye. Sisters, not twins. You know what? I think there is Elvira-isms happening here. I think we can see where we're going. Where we came from, though, questionable. You know what? This is cute, though. It doesn't quite give me, but it looks like other drag queens, and that's good for them. I am going to go off camera. I'm going to go ahead and get a base on because we need to move this along. And when I come back, I will just hopefully be getting into like some blush and some contour, some things that are like healing and pleasant, because this has been When she said yours cruelly, she meant it. This was cruel. So let me get into some foundation. Let's get into some blush when we come back, and we will get into some more questions. Let's go. Happy Halloween! We're back. We've got a face started. Let's dip into some of our Elvira blush and see what all this is about. So this is the shade 2 Macabre. I'm going to pack this on. It already looks nice and saturated. Oh, okay. That is nice. Oh, clearly this brush had glitter on it before. Whoops. Okay, that is a nice, pretty shade. Honestly, should have used that on the eyes. Should have used it on the eyes. It's pretty much the same color that I kind of ended up with. So I'm popping this onto the cheek to kind of blend in with the purple that's coming out of the eye, and then pulling that blush down kind of like under the contour a little bit. I haven't really popped a ton of contour in, but I want that sort of like 80s carve out, and then I'm just tapping the excess off around the rest of the cheek. So I've got a lot of white powder. I wanted to like have more of a pale base, but in order for that to like not look so scary on camera, you gotta blend things out. So that's nice. I definitely am gonna want to deepen this with some tricksy colors, but let me take this around some other parts of the face first. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Ooh, that might have been a little much. You know what? The times where I felt the most beautiful are when my nose, blush, and contour are pretty extreme. So let's feel beautiful. Mixing a little more pink. Ooh, I've lost the plot a little bit. Lost the plot. Whoa. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Okay, let me get this nose contour back in order, and then we can get to another question. All right, the face is fixed-ish. I went ahead and added blush and some highlighter, and I'm feeling like we're in a good place. So I have 2 questions left, and before I do my lips, need to answer those questions because then I have to do my lips. So the 2 questions that remain are, what are my favorite horror movies, and how did I develop the signature lip for Sierra Myst? So 2 great questions to end on as Elvira, queen of the movie review for horror, and Sierra Myst, queen of the big lips. Hello. Favorite horror movies, I already mentioned Scream, but when it comes to Halloween, I'm very specific and particular about the difference between a Halloween movie and a horror movie, because people who are not typically horror watchers get inspired by the idea of being scared and will put horror on during Halloween or the month of October or fall or whatever. And I love that. More exposure to horror, that's fabulous. However, horror does not a Halloween movie make, and I need the streaming services to get with that too, because they're always bundling all of these horror movies together. There are horror movies that I'm like, this is classic to Halloween. Something like a Frankenstein or a Dracula or whatever. But movies that I consider a Halloween movie, a movie where the holiday of Halloween takes place within the movie. Now, I get even more specific, where if it takes place over a full calendar year, like a school year, and it's not about that holiday. For example, Mean Girls has Halloween and Christmas in it. It takes place over a full calendar year, not a Halloween movie, even though there's a Halloween scene in it. Technically, like, it's the same with Harry Potter or any other movie that sort of covers a full year. But movies that have Halloween in them exclusively, or like take place on the day or start on the day or end on the day or whatever, that to me is a Halloween movie. And I've got a whole list of movies that we work through pretty much all the end of summer, early fall leading up to Halloween, get us into the spirit. Some of my favorite horror movies of all time are going to be Scream. I think the classic Exorcist, like the original, is one of the most enduring pieces of horror. If I remember to do it, I'll put the link for the horror movie list in the bio or something. But if I'm in the mood for like a Halloween classic, it's gonna be like a Beetlejuice and Addams Family, Hocus Pocus, obviously. Under Wraps is always like one of my favorites from when I was a kid. Double Double Toil and Trouble. Any of those sort of like, again, nostalgic Halloween movies are going to be the ones that I typically gravitate towards during the actual month of October versus the horror that I can consume any other time of the year. And the last question is one that I can kind of like maybe demonstrate a little bit. But the question was, how did I develop the signature Sierra Mist lip? And the first answer is I knew that my facial geometry required a larger lip. That is sort of the starting point. Is I saw the shapes that I was working with, and I knew that just utilizing these lips on this face wasn't really going to cut it. So I knew I was going to have to exaggerate the shape. Then thinking about Sierra Mist is more female illustration than female illusion. So thinking of how women's faces are drawn, how their lips are drawn, there are specific ways in which we see lips being drawn, and how those come through in cartoons. I'm thinking of people like the illustration style of Shigo or the Bratz dolls, or any other superhero has like a specific pout to their lip, the way that they're sort of shaped. But in real life, I think the most applicable set of lips that I can compare is Angelina Jolie. I always thought she was so attractive in Tomb Raider, and so just something about her lips and the pout, I think, gives what Sierra Mist is trying to give. The way that I approach my lips now is definitely different than when I first started. You can go back through the channel. The lips have gotten bigger. There's a little bit more specific geometry happening, although it's not always the same, I will admit. And I go in phases where sometimes it's bigger or smaller, but generally there is like a rhyme or reason. And time out. Some of you are out here telling me you're doing a Sierra Mist lip anytime you just like overdraw your lip, or you do like this like Joker thing. And that's not Sierra Mist lip. What we're doing is we're like extending and forcing more of like a smile while creating a pout. So I take the outer corner of my lips and I kind of like pull it up. This is where people think they're doing Joker, and it's not that, and I'll show you why. So even if I just did that, obviously mine go out in a little bit, but like this is me thinking about the new shape of my lips. Okay, so like that looks kind of scary right now. And normally I don't start there, so I don't know why on a lip tutorial I'm just like changing it up, because that's crazy. What I normally start with is the Cupid's bow in the bottom, but I guess this is going to help like explain some of the geometry. So it's like a reverse trapezoid. So what we're going to do is draw the Cupid's bow. Okay, crazy mustache. And then we're going to come down just past the corner of the lip where we drew our new corner right here. Crazy, yes. Then we're going to continue on this path, and we're going to go out and in, and we're going to connect right down here. Crazy. Now, it's all crazy. We're going to take the corner of this here, and this should basically line up a little just under my natural like top lip. And we're just going to draw straight across. And that is basically the Sierra Mist lip liner. It's all geometry. And I know this looks crazy in itself, because it is, but then I just sort of start to like fill in. And with a lip illusion like this, you always need to draw a darker lip liner for this look. For a lot of looks, actually, I will start with a brown or black eyeliner or brow pen and actually draw the shape, because I have way more control with this than I do with like any other tool. And I realized I did not review all of the products inside of the Elvira makeup kit. There is a liquid liner in here, but it's one of these applicators. And I don't really can't get into that applicator like a pen. what do I say? I like a pen. The other one, excuse me, I'm not going to use the gloss because I can't gloss these big fake lips. But I will go ahead and try the red Elvira lipstick. I'm always going to go in with powders and eyeshadows to define the color of the lips, but I very rarely use an actual lipstick. So let's go ahead and put this on, and I can at least tell you my thoughts on the lipstick. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna tell you right now, that is foul. That is not, will not, going in with my Maybelline Super Stay. One might think that we were done here. I have to wait for the liquid lip to dry, and then I take shadows and I kind of help define the shape of the lips. So I'm gonna let this dry down, and then I will come back and I will show you what we have crafted with the lip. But to answer your question, the lip shape basically got bigger over time. We love Angelina Jolie. We're sort of giving Bratz, but all in all, the Sierra Myst lip is easily identifiable, unique, iconic, fabulous. Okay, we gotta go. We are nearing the finish line. You can see the lips now have definition, and we did that with eyeshadow. We may have added a little bit of glitter, just a little bit. Normally I do a lot more, but Elvira, she's mostly matte, so just a little bit. And I think the last thing we have to do with makeup is pop these lashes on, and with the lashes, the look is complete. Well, minus the wig and the heels and the outfit, of course. So a couple things to recap before I go ahead and change. This makeup was a lot harder than it should have been. If I do an Elvira look again, I know how to approach the eyes in a way that will not take me a tremendous amount of time, stress, and years off of my life. Second, for better or for worse, this is maybe more of a collector's item than it is a makeup palette and collection that I will use on the regular. And third, thank you so much for all of your wonderful questions. I hope you had fun going down a little bit of a Halloween memory lane, learning a little bit more about me, Sierra Myst, and my love for Halloween. As your reigning HalloQueen, I hope all of you have a fabulous and safe Halloween this evening. Unpleasant dreams.